Red Dead Redemption 2 is a game made by its depth. It's all of the small details that are easier to miss than find, but also aren't that far out of the way. And of course, an example of a delivery mechanism of this depth is the characters that you can meet in passing. In this video, we're headed to the town of Rhodes in the state of Lemoyne to take a look at a rather insightful homeless veteran. I am of course talking about Joe Butler. You likely do not need directions to the town of Rhodes, as you find yourself here quite frequently in chapter 3 and 4 of the main story. To come face to face with this homeless veteran, we need to head over to just outside the general store where the grumpy old one-legged Civil War veteran can be found. He can typically be heard ranting about things before you converse with him, so if he has spawned, he will draw attention to himself. Before we interact with him, however, it's important that we notice his uniform. The gold braiding on the sleeves is a distinctive feature of a Confederate officer uniform, meaning that provided the jacket is actually his, Joe Butler was a high-ranking Confederate officer of some description, though his exact rank is hard to determine. I bring this up because I suppose it's a cool detail, and it could also be an indicator of Joe Butler's beliefs or even his social status before the war, or maybe it just means he was an experienced soldier by the time he'd lost his leg. Anyway, let's go say hello, see what this old ranting fella has to say.
Hey, mister, will you give me some money?
Hello, sir.
Sure.
You won't believe this.
Thank
Charlie
you.
didn't put
Say,
axle grease on his wagon.
say, where you
Off the
from?
road on a big hill.
Around.
Everything smashed to bits.
Ain't from around here. If I was you, I'd leave. This town lost its goddamn soul a long time ago. Nothing but nasty, miserable people.
Yeah?
Yeah, ever since them Grays moved here, a bunch of no-good white trash. Yeah, they somehow got rich. About 50 years ago, they moved here, caused a whole heap of trouble. Yeah, I reckon they was Yankee spies during the war and everything.
That's so.
Yeah, sure.
The Greys are one of the prominent families in Rhodes and the overall state of Lemoyne by 1899 when the Vandalin gang rocks up. In fact, the sheriff of Rhodes at this point is a Grey, and Joe Butler suspecting them of being Union spies during the war is perhaps telling of their abilities of observation, and this may function as an early warning that maybe the Grey family are watching the Vandalin gang much closer than they think, which, as we know, does turn out to be the case. Furthermore, this could be seen as a confirmation of the Grey family's allegiance during the Civil War, considering their family has a history of being informants, as the secret and true reason behind the Greys' immigration to North America from Scotland in 1755 was to avoid the Jacobite supporters who were hunting down and killing those who had informed against them during the 1745 uprising, which can be discovered when reading a letter found near the dead body of Tavish Grey, which can be found on the Grey family estate at any point after the beginning of chapter 4 of the main story. Even Joe Butler himself is a very observant man, being able to tell that Arthur is not from around Rhodes, and then he also talks about how the town lost its soul a long time ago and it's only full of nasty, miserable people, and so it's clear he's been here for a long time and he spent a lot of his time simply watching the people. We can encounter Joe 3 times as Arthur and once as John, but it's also important to pay attention to some of his rants before we do speak with him.
Make the wonder which folk minded their own goddamn business. And my property is my business. Well, but that ain't exactly the point. I mean, the point is I want your property. Just a little bit. I mean, give a fella some money.
Considering he doesn't have any property now, this rant is likely indicating that in the past the federal government has interfered with Joe's property, suggesting that prior to the Civil War Joe Butler may have been a slave owner, and like I said before, his uniform may suggest that he was once a man of wealth and status, even if not necessarily. Though if slavery was a part of his trade in his life prior to the Civil War, it could explain why he's lost everything and is now homeless. And as we know, thanks to Jeremiah Compson chilling on this bench, this could easily be a possible explanation for his homelessness. Though I think in Joe Butler's case, the reason for his homelessness is the fact that he lost his leg and was unable to work as a result. But it's a cool idea to mentally play with. Anyway, on with the conversation.
I need a buck here, you bastard.
Hey, partner.
Hey, Hey, it's good to see you again, friend.
How you keeping?
I'm miserable.
Because of the leg?
Ah, no, I'm used to the leg. I've been without it a whole lot longer than I was with it. Nah, it's a people. Yeah, a bunch of nasty, miserable peasants I gotta share this place with.
Why don't you leave?
Me? I live here. They're my nasty, miserable people. I've been hating on them for so long, if I forgot to hate them, I wouldn't know what day it was. Yeah, but you... Man, you ought to get out of here and you ought to stop coming back.
Joe states that he hates the people of Rhodes, but without that hate for the people of Rhodes, he wouldn't know what else to do. And while they may be nasty, miserable people, they're his nasty, miserable people, which may be a bit of regional loyalty, maybe suggesting despite his grumpy exterior, he cares deeply for his home, though he does suggest that Arthur move along and not come back. Initially, I thought this might be distrust for outsiders, however, he doesn't trust the people that are already there, so that's definitely not the case. However, it is a warning, and that warning does strike true, as Rhodes is where Sean Maguire is killed in an ambush set by the Greys, which confirms that Rhodes is indeed a dangerous place to be for any member of the Van der Linde gang. Maybe this also suggests that Joe Butler knows more about Arthur Morgan than he's letting on, and tries to subtly warn him off. Also, he refers to the people of Rhodes as nasty, miserable peasants. The use of the word peasants may suggest that once upon a time he possessed some wealth. Before the third encounter, we can hear him talking about how he lost his lover to cholera and his leg to a cannonball in battle, which kind of explains itself, so let's move on to the conversation.
Morning.
Hey, it's good to see you again, friend. But, man, what you doing here?
Just visiting old friends, I guess.
Well, you better get out of here. There's a bunch of government agents I met asking about you all across town. Yeah, them and a bunch of bounty hunters, too, I think.
That's so.
Yeah. Yeah, but you don't seem too scared.
Guess not.
Well, they seem pretty mad. What'd you do?
Nothing good.
Well, you better get out of here.
Butler warns that government agents had been in town looking for Arthur, and is slightly taken aback upon realizing how unfazed Arthur is when hearing this information. This conversation to me suggests that he knows no more about Arthur than anybody else might, and so up until this point his warnings were perhaps a gut feeling. However, despite learning the knowledge that Arthur Morgan is a wanted man, he doesn't seem too personally fussed by this, and suggests that Arthur leave town more as advice rather than to avoid trouble himself. The final encounter we can have with Joe Butler is in the epilogue, and his uniform looks older and perhaps a bit dirtier.
Good morning.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Okay. And you?
Well, I got the one leg. Been standing here since about 1870 and slowly starving to death.
Sorry I asked.
Don't worry about it. Hey, say, you a Yankee?
I'm not sure.
You know, there was a fella I used to see with you a few years back. He was tall, and a moody face.
Yeah, Arthur. He died, I'm afraid.
Well, I'm sorry to hear it.
He saved my life.
Is that so? You didn't always seem the type.
No. No, he didn't.
When John informs Joe of Arthur's death, Joe seems quite saddened by this news, and when John states that Arthur saved his life, Joe's reaction that he didn't always seem the type vindicates Arthur's redemption. After this final interaction, Joe Butler is never seen again. He never shows up in this spot again and cannot be found anywhere else, which to me suggests that maybe finally Joe Butler passes away, which makes sense considering he's got to be at least in his 60s by 1899 and likely his early 70s by 1907. However, that is unconfirmed. This homeless Confederate veteran is an insightful character. He forewarns that the Grey family are not to be underestimated, even going as far as to suggest that they may be well versed in clandestine approaches to weakening their enemies or even just those they see as a threat, as that's how spies or informants might operate. And we can learn so many hints and details about this incoming inconsequential character's life in passing as well. I wanted to bring this up. I even glitched the game and he walked off as if his leg was there, and it left a dog just completely baffled. And that, though completely irrelevant, just made me laugh too much to not mention it. And that brings us nice and firmly to the end of this video. Thank you all for watching. I really hope that you've enjoyed. Be sure to go ahead, leave a like, subscribe, share the channel with your friends and all that wonderful stuff. That would be super fantastic, of course. And with any luck, I'll be seeing you all very soon with another video at some point. But until next time, take care and goodbye.